Manscaped.
Makes sense.
It makes perfect sense because when I think of like, just being out there, right? Mountaineers. Got the bush, so you got to trim that thing up a little bit. But more importantly, if you happen to be, a local cat, you want to look cool and smooth, you might want to make sure that thing's trimmed up, or if not trimmed up here, trimmed up below the waist, because we know that Manscaped are the leaders in below the waistline grooming. And like I said, appearances matter. You want to make sure that you keep that grass low. And the best way to do that, ladies and gentlemen, is with the Lawnmower 4.0. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. You know what it has done for me and Deke. It makes us feel like rock stars when we walk around. People are calling us legends now solely because we use the Manscaped products,
we even heard the word GOAT being thrown around too.
It's that simple, man. And we didn't even talk about the 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner. We didn't even get to the body wash. That's just the reality of it. That's everything that Manscaped is offering to you. And might I add, they do actually have nice shirts and comfy undies to wear too, man. I tell you, man, it makes you feel real nice and complete, baby.
I use the deodorant. They also got the body spray.
Come on now.
What don't they have?
What don't they have? It's literally a be the man wherever you are survival kit. You know what I mean? That's what you need. Like, I don't know what you're doing, but that's what you want to get. So whether it is for you, or say you're a lady and you want to get it for your significant other, or you got a friend out there that might need a little help, this is where you want to go. But the biggest thing that you need to do is this. You need to use that promo code, baby. And that promo code is MOATS. MOATS. Get you 20% off plus free shipping worldwide at manscaped.com. So trust me on this, man. When I tell you it will change your life and your delicate twins will thank you, listen to me because I'm an expert. A lot of quarterbacks coming on the Pittsburgh Steelers pre-draft visits. Now they only get 30 of these visits. All right. So when you're talking about them using, 5 of them right now thus far.
Is it 6?
It's actually 6. Excuse me on that. 6 of these on court. Actually, it's 7.
Who's the 7th?
I got you. You ready for this? So these are the names of the quarterbacks that are coming on pre-draft. I wish on pre-draft visits. They're either already come or they will be coming this week. So Sam Howell has already came, the UNC quarterback. Desmond Ridder has already came to Pittsburgh for a pre-draft visit. Kenny Pickett came as well, but they used him as a local visit because he played in Pittsburgh. So that didn't have to count against their 30 pre-draft visits that they're allowed.
Okay.
Carson Strong was there yesterday, if I remember correctly. Matt Corral should be there. Is today Thursday? He should be there today. And then Malik Willis is either Friday or early next week is when he's supposed to be coming into town for his visit. That would have been the 6th initially, but this is the 7th guy that has already come on a visit.
He's already been here?
Yes, Chris Oladokun, the quarterback from South Dakota State. Yes, that's the other guy that is coming on a visit, man. So when I'm looking at this, I'm like, dude, that's 1, 2, 3. Well, that's, like I said, 7 quarterbacks that they brought in on pre-draft visits, and they've been to all of these guys, whether it was pro day or combine, and they've already seen these guys at the All-Star games as well. A lot of this is pointing to them, potentially taking one of these guys, or now because of everything that happened with Dwayne Haskins passing away, unfortunately, they might even go and try to get 2 guys, because we know going in, they said they wanted 4 quarterbacks coming into camp.
The old Washington move, RG3 in the first, Kirk Cousins in the 4th.
It low-key worked, though, for both of them, right? In the sense you had one get Rookie of the Year. He was on a trajectory before he got hurt. And now you got Kirk, who's made a ton of money and still has led multiple teams to the playoffs.
Yeah, for him being a 4th-round pick, absolutely. He's had an amazing career.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So, when I think of that, I'm like, is that something that's a potential here? Because when I think of the Malik Willis and Kenny Pickett's, they are talked about going in the 1st round. But when I think of the other group of guys, it's like, man, they could go 2nd round, 3rd round. We talked about Carson Strong in that mid-tier. We didn't even bring up E.J. Perry in this conversation just yet, but he's another guy that you could potentially get late. Bailey Zappi, absolutely.
I hope not.
But you can just see in the sense of, it's like, we know if none of these guys we view as day one proven franchise caliber quarterback, you think they could develop into that? What makes you say, what makes us turn our nose up at a Bailey Zappi or EJ Perry at the end of the draft versus taking one of these guys anyways? Because all of them got flaws. That's kind of how I looked at it.
Yeah, it all depends on if we're going to sign a guy. Mm-hmm. If we don't sign a guy, there's the talks of us having 4 quarterbacks in the room. So do you draft a guy early and then either sign someone after the draft, or do you draft them later? So There's combinations here where the Steelers could be taking 2 quarterbacks, as you mentioned, in the draft, if not just one. As much as I don't really want us to take quarterback, the buzz has been building these last few weeks that we are going to take one.
Yeah. And like I said, when you're bringing in all of those guys for your pre-draft visits, when you're going to all of these guys' pro days, combine, and not just pulling up, like you either have Mike Sullivan, the QB coach, it's either been Kevin Colbert, Canada, Coach T. So these are the legit decision makers. These are the guys that say yay or nay in a sense. So to see all of them and all this buzz has been going on all offseason. And then, like I said, now with the roster just currently having 2 quarterbacks, no Dobbs anymore because he's already signed with the Browns. You can't talk about bringing him back now either. It just makes you wonder, like, okay, well, where are we getting these other guys from?
Unless we're thinking Browns cut Dobbs and we bring them back.
Well, no, if anything, they'll cut Baker right now. That's the situation. Yeah, they're going to cut Baker.
That's true. It would just be funny. Dobbs somehow makes his way back to Pittsburgh roster before the season
Always,
ends.
right? Always.
How are you feeling then? What is your optimal scenario? Let's say you have to take a quarterback. What's your optimal scenario for that happening?
All right. I'll do it a couple ways. If Baker Mayfield is released and I'm able to pick him up as well prior to anything happening, then I don't mind either going a Desmond Ridder or a Carson Strong personally. You know what I mean? Like in that mid tier.
You're bringing in Baker too.
Yeah. Because like I said, but if Baker's released.
Right.
And we get him, in the same caliber of money or in that.
You've said he wants more than Mitch, probably.
I would assume he would want more than Mitch, but depending on how he might feel, he might say, you know what, I want to go to Pittsburgh so I can see my team twice a year.
It needs to be in that range, that 5 range.
No, I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, if that's the case, then sure, I'm bringing him in because, like I said, I don't see how he's any better or drastically worse than what we already have, and we need competition in this room. And we're losing a high caliber guy in Dwayne Haskins, who's a former first-round draft pick. That was going to be your other high-end guy in the room. So you need another guy like that. But then from there, now, like I said, I'm either going with the Desmond Ridder because I like the size. I like how he played in terms of the Senior Bowl, seeing him
second round
doing a lot. Yeah, second round. Okay. I've seen him doing a lot more of the rollout stuff because to me, my first-round guy, I want somebody that's going to help us, whether it's receiver or whether we're talking defense. I want somebody that's going to be able to come in and give us instant productivity. Or if it's in the case of Jameson Williams, somebody that's going to come in mid-season, but we know they're contributing this season. Whereas if we're taking one of these quarterbacks in the first round, can we definitively say right now that they are going to beat out Mitch Trubisky or Mason Rudolph?
Nope.
And to me, that's the biggest hiccup I have on taking any of those guys in the first. I want somebody that's going to, help us out because we're going to need that help. Regardless of who's starting at quarterback this year, we're going to need pieces. We're going to need
That's
weapons.
What we're saying. After the first round, you can make a case second till the end of the draft.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of luxury picks. So if they do want to go quarterback second, it's not going to kill us because whoever you take in the second might not be starting anyway.
Right. So that's kind of like my thought process with it. Now, if Baker is out of the equation, now I feel like I have to try to get, if Malik is available in the teens, then I'm saying to myself, you know what? I might have to do this because we don't have another option right now.
If he doesn't go 2.
If he doesn't go in the top 10, you know what I mean? If he goes the way that it was talked about prior to, well, then let's go Malik. All right. Even if he's in the teens and I got to move in front of New Orleans or move in front of one of these other teams to go get him, I don't mind that because we would not have another high end arm. And at least he gives us the most upside. He is the most exciting prospect. So I bring him in. And then at the end, I'm taking a flyer on the EJ Perry, maybe even take a flyer on the South Dakota State quarterback as well. You know what I mean? As an option. But those guys are 6th, 7th round or potentially undrafted types. But I'm going to bring in 2 of those guys just because right now we can't go into camp with just these 2 quarterbacks. Like, that's just the reality of it. Like, them trying to do all that in camp, competing, man, they're going to burn their little arms out by the time the season get here and it's late in the year. You don't want that. So you're going to want to bring in more guys. But I don't want to just bring in the quote-unquote camp arm. I want to bring in legitimate players. Think when Duck was here, right? Duck initially was under the mindset of, he's a camp arm. But we saw he was like, no, this dude is actually legitimate. He can do enough to push for a spot. He can do enough that, hey, in a crunch, he might even win you some games. Absolutely. So I want to take more of that approach than, the approach of just filling the fourth QB spot for Camp just for the sake of, because I think that, none of these guys are proven to that extent just yet.
I'm a little bummed then, because I really don't want to take a quarterback that bad. If it is a quarterback, though, I've kept saying this, I would like it to be Malik Willis.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to the Baker option, though. If we go that route, I don't want to take a quarterback. You had Ritter in the second. I wouldn't want to take a quarterback till the 6th, 7th round.
Okay,
or
fair enough.
Then.
I can definitely get that.
Yeah, we'd have a first overall pick in Baker, second overall pick in Mitch Trubisky, and also third round pick that we said was first round in our boards in Mason Rudolph.
But we technically already had that with Haskins as well, being obviously the 15th overall. But
I felt the same way, though.
Okay, gotcha.
I feel the same way. If we weren't getting Malik Willis, then I don't want to take a guy till later, because just to, I guess, go with our 4 quarterbacks in the room type of, ruling that we have.
Okay. Now, I've seen some guys, I think JL Media and a couple other people were bringing up, and Keon Brown were bringing up Cam Newton. Because they were saying, hey, if you're going Baker Mayfield, would you consider Cam Newton instead? Now, we know Cam has a little bit more athletic ability.
I think he's washed now.
Okay.
That's all.
Do you think that Baker still has it?
Yeah. I think he can still play. I think he can play better than Cam Newton, yes.
Okay.
Now, I've brought up, I don't think Baker's a franchise guy. I think the verdict's out on him there, but no, I think he can still play.
Okay.
Like, I don't know if Cam Newton could get you through a season. You know what I mean?
So for me, man, my biggest thing holding me back on Cam Newton is the health. We know the past couple of times we've seen him, he doesn't look the same. Like, it's almost like a shell of himself, Yeah. It's like you see the stature, you see him flash at times. He'll have moments, but as a whole, it just doesn't look like he's 100% Cam Newton. And if you're not getting 100% Cam Newton, I personally would rather go with Baker, because I think healthy Baker, which we saw not this past season, but the year before that, he looked good at times. Obviously, like I said, he led his team. They won a playoff game and everything like that. We know all the details with that. But I would definitely rather go Baker there, because Baker's body does not look like Cam's, and Baker's game isn't predicated on his athletic ability either. Whereas we know with Cam can throw, absolutely, but Cam's
he got really inaccurate though, too, these past couple of years.
Absolutely. Cam's game is really predicated on his mobility, his ability to hurt you with his legs. Whereas now that's kind of, like I said, on the back burner when you're talking about Cam Newton, I don't fear Cam as just a pocket passer. I don't. Whereas I think Baker definitely gives you a lot more to worry about if we're just talking strictly in the pocket throwing the ball. At this stage, I think that Baker's the better player.
Yeah, especially if we build up this O-line a little bit. We got Najee. I think we could win games with Baker. I think if he came in, Trubisky or Rudolph, any of those 3, I mean, I view them all kind of in the same vein. Baker and Mitch obviously more proven than Mason, but whoever would have won out or whoever does win out between those 3, if we do sign Baker, we can win games.
I would agree. I definitely would agree, man.
I just don't know if we got a franchise quarterback. That's the question.
Unfortunately,
the verdict will still be out for that. I've already said I'm out on Baker.
Yeah.
Mitch, I maybe give him a little bit more of a chance, because I haven't seen him. I think this is a pretty good theory too. I haven't seen him against the Steelers, whereas Baker has looked atrocious against us every time we've gone up against. He looks really bad.
That one time.
Except the playoffs, I guess. But I think that was more self-destructing.
He's got to have it time.
Huh?
He was got to have it time. He was dueling against the Hall of Famer, and he said, I'm going to show you who's the better quarterback.
It wasn't a duel.
He went head to head. Jimmy G went to Green Bay and whooped up on Aaron Rodgers. He said, I'm going to do the same thing, and that's what he did to your boy 7. I was in tears. I couldn't believe it, man.
Yeah, I looked up his stats against us. He's been god-awful.
Yes.
He's been really bad. I've seen other games too. I've seen enough where he's kind of choked away some big moments in duels with bigger time quarterbacks, and just
But you can't forget but in those games though, he still was balling out though.
I think the one that was maybe his best, was it a Ravens-Browns Thursday night game? Him and Lamar were dueling it out. They went up to 40 points.
He had one with the Chargers game too though. He had one versus the Chargers where he was going off.
But that's my point. I mean, even with that Chiefs game early last season too, they were high scoring there back and forth, but he just kind of choked at the end, dude. He had the ball and
But I guess my thing is, do we think, because we're not even comparing him to Mitch and Mason, because in the same vein, I'm like, do we think Mitch and Mason can even give you the front end productivity that he was giving them prior to him choking?
Yeah, I think they can.
But why
I think they can, right?
Because we haven't seen it. That's all I'm saying. Whereas we can point to Baker and say no, we've seen him light it up. Well, and he's done it multiple times.
Mitch definitely has, though, too. I mean, making a Pro Bowl. He's done a lot more with his legs, for sure. Mason is still kind of like the projecting type of thing. Like, oh, he's going to turn it around this year. So his last couple games were pointing in the right direction. So
just because of Mitch's legs, we're giving him the nod? No, because I think what I'm saying is Baker's arm. We've seen Baker throw for 3+, 350, 4. Like, I want to say he had the 4 in the Chargers game, if I remember correctly. Like, we've seen that. The big knock on him is, oh man, when they got that last score, he had to get another score at the end after he had already got a score. Oh, he didn't get that one, so he choked. And it's like, nah, the defense should have made a stop. Like, that's how I feel about it at times. It's like, I don't remember too much of Mitch doing that. I don't remember Mason doing that type of stuff. That's all.
Well, Chicago would have had an extra playoff win with Mitch had it not been for the kicker and stuff like that. I mean, if I'm telling you, if you look at Mitch and Baker's careers up to this point, they're very similar in terms of statistical production. I think Mitch has a good arm, though, too. It's not just his leg. That's part of his game. I think he's got a good arm.
But his good arm, I'm just trying to figure out when has it been showcased as consistently as Baker. That's all. I just don't feel like that's ever been the case with Mitch when he was in Chicago.
That's the whole thing. Nagy system and it's like we make excuses for it,
but it's like Baker had how many head coaches, how many coordinators, QB coaches during his time?
Yeah, he has.
Could we not make the same exact argument?
You definitely can. I mean, there's the case though. Mitch just has some better stats than Baker, and Baker's had more help around him though too, with Nick Chubb, that offensive line, having Odell, Jarvis Landry, but he had to deal with injuries just even with the people around him. Like Odell was hurt. I just think it's that close. That's the crazy part about it, where I don't think we have to go out of our way to get Baker, but if he is cut, I think it's fine competition, because right now I'll lean Mitch. But
I just feel like we're way more pro Mitch all of a sudden because he's with the Steelers. I just don't feel like this would have been the energy if he would have signed anywhere else but Pittsburgh. That's all.
It's close though. That's the thing. We're splitting hairs here, so it's not like Baker's that much better than Mitch. That's my thing.
Yeah, I just think that he is better. I think he's clearly better. I don't think it's a far gap, but I do think he's the better quarterback.
Right? You think if we bring him in, he would win the competition?
I personally do. Yes.
Yeah. And if he did, we'd support him.
Right, but I don't want to trade for him. Keep clearing that up.
Oh no, yeah, he's got an $18 million cap.
I don't want to do any of that. No. I am not saying that, but it does. I feel like this does have a little bit more urgency or a little bit more pressure surrounding it now with the passing of Haskins, because beforehand it was like, we have 3 guys. 2 of them were legitimate first round draft picks. 1 guy had the first round grade allegedly. So it's just like, you don't feel the need to have to go get somebody like that. You could go draft one of these guys who, like we said, they all have different variations of holes or flaws, but we felt like, you know what, if you're bringing them in the mix, that's okay. Now is drastically different. We're only saying we only have Mitch and Mason. I mean, it's people that don't even think Mason should be in the league right now. Like, I don't agree with them, but it's just like, if that is the narrative, that's the thought process. Bro, you come on, man. Don't act like we ain't seen the Mason hate. Come on, man. Not the Mason hate. Don't act we ain't seen the Mason hate. Come on, man. We know how people feel that.
We're saying big names. Who's the big name?
Mason is the offense's version of Terrell Edmonds. That's what I feel like at times, man. In terms of like the narrative, in terms of like the how people feel about him.
Yeah, Mason has definitely got too much hate.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I don't agree with that per se, man. But at the end of the day, I do feel like we need some more talent in that room. That's all. So I'm just trying to figure out best way to get that talent, man. Or different options for it.
Yeah. So if we don't go Baker, man, I still don't want to draft a quarterback, though, to be honest with you.
So how do we fill out this roster then?
Well, we'll draft one in 6th, 7th, and then pick another one up.
So you really are putting all of your eggs in Mitch versus Mason.
Outside of drafting Malik Willis.
How do you feel about that statement you just made?
I'm ready. Hey, man, I told you, if they're capable of 30 and 10, like, why wouldn't I be good with them duking it out?
Oh, Lord. Oh, I hope to get peace with my that roster setup if that is the case. I don't have that peace right now. That makes me very unsettled. I'm not the biggest fan of that situation.
Well, hold on. If we don't bring in Baker, though, and we're drafting Ritter or we're drafting whoever we draft, isn't it between those two anyway?
No, I put it like this. I look at it like this reminds me Seattle Seahawks. Who were the quarterbacks? Tavares Jackson.
Matt Flynn.
They had Matt Flynn, and then they brought in who? Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson was oh man, just bring this guy in the third round, see what happens with him. I'm looking at Desmond Ridder. I'm looking at the Carson Strongs. I'm looking at, even a Sam Howell, if you want to throw him in there, in that vein of, you know what? Let's see what happens. Because nobody thought that Russ was going to do that. Everybody thought it was going to be what? It's Matt Flynn. Matt Flynn just came over from Green Bay. He was backing up who? Who was he backing up in Green Bay? Oh, man, he's been in that room with this guy. Oh, man, he had a couple of games where he didn't look good. This has got to be it. And we saw how that turned out. Tavares Jackson was like, oh, man, hey, man, you know what? He's mobile. He's got this and that. Maybe he's going to take over in Seattle. But we saw how that turned out. I just feel like this is that exact same situation to an extent. And I'm just looking to say, okay, who is our third guy? Who is our potential sleeper that we're getting in this draft? Not sleeper in the sense of, we don't know about this prospect, but the dark horse candidate in this. At times we both discussed maybe it was Haskins, but now that's not an option anymore. So now it's like, okay, who is that guy that mixes this up a little bit, that adds a little bit of spice, a little bit of flair in this competition versus just watching Mason and Mitch duel it out?
I get you. You want some spice in the competition.
You don't like a little spice on your, I don't know. Do you like spice on your food? Do you season your drink or you blend? Just I'm messing with you.
I'm pretty low maintenance, dude.
I'm messing.
I'm pretty low maintenance.
Yeah, man.
I like that perspective. Just bringing in someone, throws a little extra in there. Is there any unrestricted dudes? No, because if they're not signed right now, probably not. Is Fitzpatrick still available? He signed somewhere.
He just signed somewhere.
He did. I think that's why I thought of his name. I'm just wondering if there's any veterans out right now that could spice it up. That doesn't feel good, though.
I would agree.
There's a reason they're not signed right now. I get your point.
That's my only hiccup with it, man. That's my only hiccup.
Second round, as I mentioned, could be a luxury pick. I would like to have a linebacker for like Devin Bush competition, though, too. But what's the difference between that and having an extra dude for quarterback competition?
Yeah.
I think round one, we try to get a starter. No matter what it is. Receiver. I mean, it's pretty much just receiver now. Or safety. Unless, if we don't sign Matthew or Honey Badger. Or Matthew and Edmonds.